The night Archie was supposedly born has become one of the most explosive royal mysteries the palace never expected people to question, because what once sounded like a sweet royal love story is now being ripped apart by medical workers, royal insiders, and even voices from inside the very hospital where Meghan Markle claimed she gave birth. And now people are asking a terrifying question: was the public deliberately sold a carefully scripted version of events that never truly happened the way Harry and Meghan described it? Candace Owens threw fuel directly onto the fire when she openly claimed Meghan's birth story simply does not make sense. But what changed everything was not the internet gossip. It was the whispers coming from people connected to Portland Hospital itself. Suddenly, the polished fairy tale narrative started cracking under pressure. Tiny details began colliding with medical reality. And once people noticed those contradictions, they could not unsee them. Because the deeper you look into Archie's birth story, the stranger it becomes. The biggest shock came straight from Harry's own memoir. The same memoir that was supposed to expose palace secrets may have accidentally exposed something else entirely. Harry claimed Meghan received 2 epidurals, delivered Archie at Portland Hospital, and then returned to Frogmore Cottage within just 2 hours. 2 hours. That single timeline has now become the center of intense scrutiny, because according to medical professionals familiar with maternity procedures, the math simply does not work. People who have actually experienced childbirth immediately noticed something felt wrong. But hospital staff and medical experts went even further. They reportedly described the timeline as medically unrealistic. Portland Hospital to Frogmore Cottage alone is roughly an hour drive under ideal conditions, which means within that remaining tiny window of time, Meghan supposedly gave birth, recovered from 2 epidurals, completed post-birth monitoring, had Archie medically checked, finalized discharge paperwork, organized royal security, packed belongings, and left the hospital safely. All almost immediately after labor. That is where the story stopped sounding emotional and started sounding impossible. And then came the epidural detail. Medical workers listening to Harry's version reportedly became even more alarmed because epidurals are not casually repeated procedures. A catheter is inserted into the spine and medication is adjusted through the same line. Doctors do not usually remove it and restart the entire process during active labor unless something significant has gone wrong. Yet Harry casually described 2 epidurals like it was ordering dessert twice at dinner. According to professionals, that kind of situation would normally involve additional monitoring, paperwork, specialist oversight, and extended recovery time. But somehow, in Harry's version, everything still unfolded like a calm spa retreat. Then the laughing gas story made things even worse. Harry described accidentally inhaling Meghan's nitrous oxide supply in what he framed as a funny moment. But real hospital workers say that is not how these systems operate. Controlled gas equipment is supervised carefully. If a partner genuinely interfered with medical supply equipment during labor, it would trigger immediate staff involvement and formal documentation. Yet Harry described the moment almost like a comedy sketch from a romantic movie. Critics immediately began asking the same question: was this account written from real lived experience or from someone trying to create the image of one? And suddenly people started noticing another strange contradiction. Harry described dim candles, birthing balls, soft lighting, warm baths, and peaceful wellness energy. But medical professionals say that environment clashes violently with the type of high-risk medicated birth he simultaneously described. 2 epidurals and complications would normally require bright clinical lighting, continuous monitoring equipment, specialists nearby, and rapid emergency readiness. Not candles, not spa vibes, not relaxed atmosphere. The 2 versions of the story do not comfortably exist together. Then attention shifted directly toward Portland Hospital itself. The public image of Portland sounds luxurious and private, but insiders reportedly stressed something important most royal watchers never knew. Portland is not a giant emergency hospital. It is a specialist maternity facility with strict procedures. And according to individuals familiar with the hospital, there is no secret royal elevator, no hidden celebrity escape tunnel, and no magical back door designed exclusively for Meghan and Harry. Standard discharge procedures still apply, even to royalty, which made Harry's secret exit story suddenly sound suspiciously cinematic. The medical questions alone were already creating chaos around Meghan and Harry's story, but once people started looking at Meghan's condition during that period, the controversy exploded into something much darker, because Archie's birth was not being described as a routine delivery anymore. Suddenly, there were references stages to preeclampsia, high-risk complications, advanced maternal age, multiple interventions, and emergency-level concerns. And according to medical professionals, that changes everything about how the birth should have looked, how long recovery should have taken, and how Meghan physically should have appeared afterward. Preeclampsia is not some small pregnancy inconvenience. Doctors describe it as a dangerous condition capable of turning life-threatening without warning. Severe blood pressure spikes, organ stress, emergency interventions, intensive monitoring, magnesium sulfate treatments. Hospital stays measured in days, not hours. Women recovering from serious preeclampsia are usually kept under extremely close observation because the danger does not magically disappear the moment the baby is born. Yet Harry's version of events painted something completely different. Candles glowing, peaceful atmosphere, soft laughter, fast discharge, then suddenly back home almost immediately like nothing severe had happened. That contrast became impossible for critics to ignore. Medical workers reportedly began comparing Harry's description against standard maternity care procedures, and the gaps only kept widening. If Meghan truly experienced a heavily medicated, high-risk labor complicated by preeclampsia, the recovery timeline would normally involve extended supervision, blood pressure monitoring, restricted movement, and exhaustion lasting far beyond a quick 2-hour return home. But what happened afterward made the questions even louder because Meghan soon appeared traveling internationally, attending public engagements, moving confidently through appearances, and functioning at a pace many medical professionals found difficult to reconcile with the clinical picture Harry himself described. Then came the smaller details. The strange little details that seem harmless individually but together begin forming a disturbing pattern. Harry claimed he left the hospital around 2:00 in the morning to get Nando's chicken during the labor. Sounds relatable, sounds casual, sounds human. Except critics immediately pointed out one problem: Nando's locations were reportedly closed at those hours. And Porton Hospital itself already provides 24-hour private dining services for wealthy maternity patients. Suddenly, another piece of the story started wobbling. Why tell a story that does not fit the real environment where it supposedly happened? Then, investigators focused on another shocking gap: the attending physician. For months, media outlets circulated different names connected to Archie's delivery before corrections quietly appeared. Some publications reportedly could not independently verify who exactly delivered Archie at all. Think about how extraordinary that is. A royal birth involving a child in the line of succession should be documented with absolute precision. Every witness known, every procedure recorded, every official detail airtight. Yet confusion reportedly surrounded one of the most basic facts of the entire event. Critics began asking whether the uncertainty existed because information was hidden or because the official narrative itself was unstable from the beginning. And this is where the entire story transformed from celebrity gossip into something far more unsettling. Because when you step back and examine every contradiction side by side, the pattern becomes impossible to ignore. The impossible 2-hour discharge timeline, the medically questionable epidural story, the laughing gas anecdote that hospital workers say does not sound realistic, the spa-like birthing environment clashing against claims of high-risk intervention, the preeclampsia narrative conflicting with rapid recovery and travel, the secret hospital exit insiders say never existed, the Nando's trip that does not fit business hours, the shifting public explanations, the confusion surrounding royal protocol, the uncertainty around the attending doctor. None of these details alone would create this level of suspicion. But together they form a story that feels less like a natural memory and more like a carefully assembled production that begins falling apart under scrutiny. And perhaps the most explosive part of all is that the questions refuse to disappear. Every time people try to dismiss the controversy, another inconsistency resurfaces. Another insider speaks quietly. Another medical professional points out another issue that does not line up with normal clinical reality. And suddenly, the public starts wondering whether Archie's birth story was ever supposed to be examined this closely in the first place, because Harry and Meghan presented it like a fairy tale. Intimate, emotional, protected, deeply personal. But fairy tales depend on people never checking the details too carefully. Now, the silence surrounding this story has become almost louder than the story itself. Buckingham Palace never fully clarified the procedural irregularities irregularities. Medical privacy laws prevent deeper public confirmation, and the Sussexes themselves rarely address the growing list of contradictions directly, which leaves one chilling question hanging over the entire royal narrative. If so many parts of this birth story appear disconnected from medical procedure, institutional protocol, and documented reality, then what else inside the carefully crafted Sussex image has been protected from serious examination all these years? Because the deeper people look into Archie's birth mystery, the more they feel like they are standing at the edge of something the palace never expected the public to question this aggressively. And now, those questions are only getting louder.